I didn't think anything was wrong at first. Parents learn to ignore strange noises. The bumps in the night, the scrape of toys across the floor, the quiet babble of a child talking to no one. So when I heard the sharp crack coming from my daughter's room, I stayed on the couch. Then it came again. Whoosh, crack. Slow, controlled, not playful. I stood and walked down the hallway, telling myself it was just cardboard, just imagination. The door to her room was open. My daughter stood in the center of the floor. She wasn't looking at her toys. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were focused straight ahead, locked on empty air. In her hands were two paper towel tubes tied together with twine. She spun them through the air with practiced rhythm. Over her head, across her body, the cords snapped tight every time they crossed. She didn't smile. She didn't make sound effects. She breathed slowly like she was counting. I said her name. She didn't look at me. I asked what she was doing. Without stopping, she answered. Practicing my nunchucks. The word hit me wrong. Not baby talk. Not mispronounced. Clear. Intentional. I laughed because parents laugh when they're uncomfortable. I asked where she learned that word. She stopped moving. Slowly, she turned her head toward me. Her expression wasn't confused. It was patient, like I should already know. Adam told me, she said. My smile froze. I asked who Adam was. She looked past me toward the hallway. He comes when it's dark, she said. When you're asleep. The air felt heavier. I stepped into the room. I told myself not to be afraid of an imaginary friend. Lots of kids have them. I asked what Adam did with her. She lifted the paper tubes again. He shows me how to use them, she said. He says I have to practice. Why? I asked. Her grip tightened. In case I have to protect myself. The way she said it didn't sound like pretend. It sounded like a lesson being repeated. I asked her what Adam looked like. Her face softened. He's tall, she said. He has yellow hair. His eyes are blue. My heart started pounding. I told myself those were common features. Coincidence. Then she added, he stands by the door. I turned without thinking. The doorway was empty. When I looked back at her, she was watching my reaction closely, studying me. Mommy, she said quietly, you know him. My mouth went dry. I asked how I knew him. She hesitated, then whispered, he died from a headache. The room tilted. For months before she was born, my closest friend collapsed alone. Brain aneurysm, sudden, fatal, tall, blonde. Blue-eyed and trained in martial arts. Left the room without saying another word. Behind me, I heard the paper tube spin again. Whoosh, crack, slower this time, more deliberate, as if someone was correcting her form. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet shift of the house. Every creak sounded louder. Every shadow felt closer. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Kids repeat things. They imagine things. They guess. That's what I told myself. But I didn't turn off the baby monitor. Around midnight, I heard movement. Not crying, not footsteps, a soft rhythmic sound, whoosh, crack. I sat up in bed. The sound wasn't coming from her room. It was closer, from the hallway. I held my breath and listened. There were footsteps now, small ones, bare feet brushing the carpet. Then another sound beneath it, a voice. Low.com. Mail. Again, the voice said. My heart slammed against my ribs. I reached for my phone but couldn't move my fingers. The footsteps stopped outside my bedroom door. The voice continued, quieter now, slowed down, control your balance. I squeezed my eyes shut. Didn't want to see who was standing there. I didn't want to confirm what my mind was already screaming. The voice paused, then said something that made my blood turn cold. She's watching. Silence followed. No footsteps, no breathing, just the hum of the house settling. I didn't open my eyes until morning light filled the room. My bedroom door was still closed. Nothing was out of place. I told myself it was a dream. I had to believe that. Breakfast, my daughter sat quietly at the table. She didn't look tired. She didn't look scared. She looked focused. I asked if she slept well. She nodded. I asked if she had any dreams. She shook her head. I asked if Adam came back last night. Her spoon froze halfway to her mouth. She looked at me, eyes wide. "You're not supposed to say his name," she whispered. A chill crawled up my spine. "Why not?" I asked. She leaned closer across the table. "He doesn't like when you notice," she said. I asked her where Adam was right now. She glanced toward the hallway, then toward the front door. "Not here," she said. "He's resting." The word echoed in my head all day. I searched through old photos while she napped. Pictures I hadn't looked at in years. There he was, smiling, standing barefoot on a mat, holding training sticks in his hands. I slammed the laptop shut. That evening, I hid the paper towel tubes. I threw them into the outside trash. I tied the lid down. I told myself that would end it. When bedtime came, my daughter hesitated at her door. She looked at me with something like pity. "He won't be happy," she said. I tucked her in anyway, turned off the light, and left the door slightly open, just in case. At 2:13 a.m., the baby monitor crackled to life. I heard her breathing, then a soft voice beside her bed. "You don't need those," the voice said gently. "I can teach you other ways." I woke to the sound of my daughter crying. Real crying, not the quiet whimpers of a dream. I ran to her room. She was sitting straight up in bed, eyes wide, clutching her blanket like it could save her. When she saw me, she stopped crying immediately. Relief washed over her face. "Mommy," she said, "he's upset." My chest tightened. I asked who she meant, even though I already knew. She didn't say his name. "He says you're making this harder," she whispered. I picked her up and held her close. Her body was warm, real, alive. I told her she was safe. She shook her head slowly. "He says safe is something you practice," she said. I carried her to my bed that night. I didn't care about routines anymore. She fell asleep quickly, curled against my side. But I didn't. I stared at the bedroom door, at the narrow crack of darkness beneath it, waiting. Minutes passed, then hours. At some point, the pressure in the room changed. The air grew heavy. The darkness beneath the door stretched. Just a little. I heard a familiar sound, not footsteps, breathing, slow, controlled, like someone. Standing perfectly still, a shape formed in the doorway, tall to belong to a child. The moonlight caught the edges of it. Broad shoulders, messy hair, blonde. My throat closed. I wanted to scream. I wanted to move. I couldn't do either. He stepped into the room without making a sound. His face was mostly shadow, but I recognized it anyway. The same crooked smile from old photos. The same calm eyes, blue. He looked down at my daughter, then at me. "I told you she wasn't ready," he said quietly. His voice was exactly the same, gentle, patient. The voice of a teacher. I demanded to know what he was doing here. My voice came out then. He didn't answer right away. He crouched beside the bed instead. He reached out but stopped short of touching her. "I'm keeping a promise," he said. I told him he was dead. His smile faded. "Not to her," he replied. I asked why he was really here. His eyes flicked toward the door. "Something followed me," he said. The room seemed to shrink. I asked what he meant. He straightened slowly. "You always were bad at listening," he said. Anger flashed through me. He looked back at my daughter. "She sees it too," he continued. "Kids always do." I told him to leave. His jaw tightened. "She needs to know how to defend herself," he said. "Because you can't." Breathing behind the door grew louder, deeper. Not his. My daughter stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at the doorway, then at him. "Is it closer?" she asked sleepily. He nodded once. "Yes," he said. "And tonight, it's learning." The breathing outside the door turned wet-uneven, like something struggling to draw air through a throat that wasn't built for it. I pulled my daughter tighter against me. She didn't resist. She was listening. The man I once knew stood slowly, every movement careful. Deliberate, like he didn't want to waste energy. "It doesn't like being noticed," he said. I demanded to know what it was. He shook his head. "Names give it permission," he replied. The breathing paused. Then came a sound like nails brushing wood. The door frame creaked. My daughter whispered, "It's trying to remember us." I felt my blood run cold. The thing outside shifted its weight. The shadows under the door pulsed. I asked how long it had been following him. His eyes darkened. "Since I died," he said. The house groaned softly. He turned to my daughter and knelt in front of her. "Show me," he said gently. She slid out of my arms and stood on the bed. Too calm, too ready. I wanted to stop her. My body wouldn't respond. She raised her hands empty, but her stance was perfect. Feet planted, knees bent balanced. The air around her shifted. I heard the familiar sound again whoosh crack, but there was nothing in her hands. The thing outside the door recoiled. The breathing hitched. "That's not fair," it gurgled. The voice wasn't human. It sounded like many voices crushed together. He smiled faintly. "Life isn't fair," he said. The door bowed inward. A long shadow slipped through the gap, too thin, too wrong. My daughter moved, fast. Her arms cut through the air in sharp, precise arcs. Each motion ended with a snap I felt in my teeth. The shadow screamed. The sound rattled the windows. I covered my ears. When I looked again, the doorway was empty. The house fell silent. My daughter lowered her hands. She looked exhausted. He placed a hand on her shoulder. For the first time, I saw his fingers pass slightly through her, like smoke meeting skin. "It will be gone for a while," he said. I asked what that meant. He stood and faced me. "It learns," he replied. I begged him to stay, to protect her, to protect us. He shook his head slowly. "As to finish the training alone," he said. My heart broke. He looked down at my daughter one last time. "You did well," he told her. She nodded solemnly. Then she asked, "Will you come back?" He hesitated. "Only if you stop practicing," he said. Her grip tightened. "I won't," she answered. He smiled, then he faded, not disappearing, unraveling, like breath in cold air. When he was gone, the house felt empty, too empty. That night, my daughter slept without dreaming. I didn't, because just before dawn, I heard a new sound from inside the walls. Something shifting, something adapting. We moved 3 weeks later. New town, new house, new locks. I told myself distance would help, that whatever had followed him would lose our trail. first night, I checked every room, closets, vents, under the beds. The house smelled like fresh paint and dust. Nothing felt wrong. My daughter unpacked quietly. She chose the bedroom at the end of the hall, closest to the back door. I like this one, she said. I didn't ask why. At night, I dreamed of breathing inside the walls. When I woke, she was already standing in the living room, barefoot, facing the dark window. I asked what she was doing. Listening, she said. I asked if she could hear something. She nodded. It's farther away, she said, but it's learning faster now. My stomach dropped. I asked how she knew that. She looked at me with tired eyes. He told me, she said. I asked who. She didn't answer. Days passed. Nothing happened. No shadows. No voices. No breathing. But my daughter practiced. Every day. In the backyard. In the hallway. In her room before bed. Her movements grew sharper, cleaner. More adult. I enrolled her in self-defense classes when she was old enough. The instructor stared longer than he should have. Asked where she learned her stance. I lied. Years passed. She grew strong, confident, prepared, and I grew afraid of the nights again. Because sometimes when the house was quiet, I heard the sound. Not from the walls, from outside scraping, searching, waiting for her to stop. On her 18th birthday, I found something on her bed. 2 wooden sticks, connected by a chain. Real ones. I confronted her. She didn't look surprised. It's time, she said. I asked what would happen if she didn't. She met my eyes. Then it comes inside, she replied. That night, as the sun set, she stood by the back door, balanced, focused, ready. I asked if she was afraid. She shook her head. He made sure I wouldn't be, she said. I asked if she missed him. She smiled sadly. He never left, she said. The lights flickered. The walls breathed. And from the darkness beyond the door came a familiar sound. Wet, uneven. Learning, my daughter tightened her grip. Behind her, reflected faintly in the glass, stood a tall figure. Blonde hair, blue eyes, watching, teaching, protecting. The door handle began to